As an aspiring graphic designer about to finish my undergraduate education, the future I hope to build for myself rests greatly on technology and its myriad of uses. Almost entirely, actually. But aside from the digital tools enabling me to create art for a digital medium, perhaps the most crucial facet of technology for me is given by the capabilities of social media. Social media networks enable the congregation of online communities, the variety of which is practically endless. Some are used for casual connections, while others are used for business relationships. For my own purposes, there exist several social media networks dedicated to connecting artists, sharing their work, and finding inspiration in the work of others. Now, my view of social media has not always been so multifaceted as it is now. When I first enrolled in this advanced social media class, I have to admit, I thought social media was limited to sites like Facebook, not understanding even a fraction of the true power that social media has. While my view of social media was in an almost constant state of transformation over the course of the class, and is most likely still evolving even at this moment, I think for me there are three key events that really serve to illuminate the power of social media that I want to talk about. The first occurred with my blog post on Occupy Wall Street, which showed me how social media can connect those with a cause, and in some cases even empower them. The second and still ongoing occurrence was my involvement in the electronic literature promotional campaign, plunging all those involved into a kind of rabbit hole of social media, if you will. Finally, the last significant transformation that occurred for me was the result of an interview conducted with Dini Gregar regarding the birth and growth of electronic literature. This interview spurred the realization that with the affordances of social media today, digital outlets of expression may have more potential than ever before. Exciting possibilities for someone hoping to make a career out of technology like me. Hopefully after you hear my points, you can agree. So let's just dive right in then. While I think anyone lucky enough to have regular access to the internet would consider themselves familiar with the idea of social media, I think it's also safe to say that many just think of it as a way to connect with immediate social circles rather than a powerful tool of the digital age. My first revelation with social media came as a result of a vlog I posted discussing the Occupy Wall Street movement. In it, I talk about how the Occupy movement was, in many ways, a social manifestation of the goals of the group Anonymous, both of which vocalize a concern with righting the wrongs of capitalism. At the conclusion of the post, I state that, were I in New York, I would likely join those who are occupying and take to the streets, not knowing that soon the movement would be spreading rapidly across the entire country. At the time, this is not what I considered to be a very remarkable vlog post. But the vlog received almost 800 views, over 100 within several days of posting, something that surprised me immensely. Perhaps because the Occupy movement was less than a week old, at the time there was a more active interest in learning about what the movement was about. I somehow doubt it was because of my expert vlogging skills. But regardless of the reason, this experience made me see how, by use of social media, social movements or popular notions, or really any concept that allows for the building of support, these are things that can easily be spread through social media, allowing for support to build more rapidly than ever possible through techniques in the analog world. The most significant example of this, which we learned about from a presentation in class, is Arab Spring. In Egypt, the popular uprising against Mubarak became popular largely through social media networks. Movements use them to organize events, to spread the word, to have meaningful dialogue, all of which are seemingly simple functions of social media utilized by people each and every day, but they become powerful organization tools in the context of social movements. In the case of Arab Spring, the influence of social media was so strong and multifaceted that when Mubarak took away the internet for the Egyptian people in an attempt to squash the rebellion, it had the opposite effect. The depth with which social media had become involved with the movement made taking it away seem like a fundamental violation of rights. In this case, social media both facilitated the rapid development of the movement initially and formed a catalyst causing open support to swell, empowering a nation to overthrow an evil dictator. This really demonstrates the power of social media to connect people, spread ideas, and make people see that they're not alone in their sentiments and that they have the power to make a difference. The second transformative experience with social media for me came with the birth of our eLit promotional campaign. I was initially interested in being involved because I had hoped to submit my own piece of electronic literature for the exhibit. However, I admit I knew practically nothing about what would be involved in this endeavor at the time. The task was to build from scratch an online campaign for the first ever electronic literature exhibit, being held at the 2012 MLA conference. Our objectives were to build awareness of the event, generate interest, and ultimately drive traffic by getting our message out there. These are objectives that can be applied to any central message of a social media campaign. Of course, I didn't realize this at the time. My experience with this campaign formed the structural foundation for my entire view of social media and will continue to do so long after the class is over. The division of tasks that went down at our second group meeting really illuminated how a social media campaign is structured. With over a dozen of us involved, my first thought was that there might not be enough work to go around. It soon became apparent, however, that this was definitely not the case. Extensive research was required on all fronts, as well as design work, which we sadly didn't get to help with, video production, and contextual implementation of tons of information. Not to mention tons of writing too, which I was eager to take on. Cohesiveness and planned execution would be crucial to building a successful campaign, and of course a sensitivity to who would be our audience. The complex layers involved with building a campaign across multiple platforms are perhaps too intense for this vlog, which is already getting pretty long. But to lay it out for you, the truly fundamental aspects of social media that emerged as I worked on the campaign were interconnectedness and, above all, collaboration. The very existence of the internet promotes mass communication, and the interconnected nature of social media in particular provides all these tools needed to rapidly generate interest. While specific platforms may differ in their purpose and design, the essential structure is the same. Messages can be quickly conveyed and links easily provided to find out more information on anything you can think of. But the biggest lesson I learned was that you cannot do this stuff alone. A big step for me being a Virgo who would rather do stuff myself at all times to get it right. Collaboration is required for a campaign to be successful, producing work that is valued by the group as a unique contribution. This is a point stressed by Kathy Davidson over and over in Now You See It, because the fact is, collaboration is a necessary skill to have in a digital age. Collaboration is truly important in a digital age because it allows for the production of the most diverse and relevant content for a chosen message, and it allows people to challenge their viewpoints, adjusting their understanding into a constantly shifting world. Talk about an applicable lesson. Finally, the last significant experience for me in my social media class was an interview conducted with Deanie Gregar, one of the heads of our department, to ask her about electronic literature for the purposes of a video we were creating for the campaign. Now, I've created eLit before, and so I thought I knew a lot about it. I've also been in Deanie's class on digital storytelling, which focuses a lot on the theory of eLit. But what I took away from the interview became invaluable to me, and also it's pretty enlightening. To get to the point, kind of difficult for me to do since I like being so wordy, eLit was born of a love of experimentation, a hybrid of art, literature, design, and so many other things. Artists and writers in a traditional sense saw the possibilities offered by digital mediums, and at first they were kind of scoffed at. Deanie was there in the beginning, back in the early 90s. The way I took it was that eLit was kind of like revolutionary art movements, like Dada or modernism. At the time of their emergence, people were skeptical. But people generally shy away from things they don't understand. We just have to show them how awesome these things are. Deanie stressed that with eLit, it isn't the method of creation that is truly important. Algorithms and codes or programs like Flash and After Effects used to create these pieces. It is rather the message that people should take away from it. That's not to say that the creation isn't kind of fascinating, because it is. But a focus on the message is true of any information worth knowing, and like most powerful messages, a lot of ELIT has meaning that is interpretable. Now that's real power. What I've learned in my social media class is that the use of social media itself is prevalent in numerous societies, a fact that allows digital modes of expression to be shared on a massive scale. The affordances of social media, the interconnectedness and distinct sense of community, the collaborative effort that works to provide people with every possible viewpoint. These are concepts of power. The power to promote important messages, to build awareness and have meaningful dialogue. The power to share with people information that is enlightening and show them things that are beautiful. These things once thought to be rare are now visible all over the internet for all to see, in large part because of the multitude of capabilities provided by social media. These views have transformed what I once thought to be social media into an idea that has deep meaning and powerful possibilities for my future. Now, if that isn't powerful transformation for myself and society, I don't know what is.